All right, we back. She came in with the snacks, bro. I need to be like that for the next one.
That's how we keep our mental health under control.
Yes.
Sustenance.
I can't go
Gotta
without my.
have the sustenance. And now y'all got my random. I don't know, you were on Mac Miller. I was like, oh wait, I remember this site. It was so cool.
Yeah, I was literally reading the coaching part on it right now, and you can actually earn points for each user that you talk to if it was like successful to earn points basically to earn Amazon gift cards later on. Like you can like cash out like a rewards kind of thing, which is actually kind of cool.
She's incentivizing people to help people with their mental health.
Hey,
Yeah.
Not a bad
what y'all
deal.
talking about.
Dogs decided that they were going to turn our house into a racetrack, so I had to go grab one of them. I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but one of them literally slammed against the door. So I was like, oh, okay, I gotta go.
That's so funny. I thought it was my door because I was like, my dogs are about to go outside too. I was like, dang.
Nope, that was.
Regulate.
So I've got Mavie in here with me because she's usually the prime culprit of inciting chaos.
You gotta show us now.
Maeve, come here. Come here. Come here. Can you sit? Can you sit? No, she's not gonna sit for me, but
Oh,
she's so precious.
No, you're not.
She's so precious.
yeah, she's really sweet.
I don't know why I was expecting a tiny dog.
No, my 80+ pounds of fluff that lives in my house.
and sheds all over.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, I love dogs.
Yeah, sorry to distract everyone for a second.
Oh no, you good. You keeping the time rolling. I'm not complaining.
Right. It was the coping of the stress here.
We have our full support.
Yeah.
Dogs are total self-care and coping strategies. Perfect example.
Right.
Which leads me to my next question. What do you do to cope with depression?
Good turnaround, Chris. I love it. I'll go first. The way I cope with depression is kind of like how I said earlier, I get my mind right and my meditation before I realize like it is. But for the times when it's, far too gone and I'm already in deep depression or whatever the case may be for me, I'll journal, or if I know I'm gonna have like a weird day, I'll write down everything that it either like would trigger me or I got mad at. And before I speak on it, I'll just write it out and like how I feel. And I'll do it literally right in the moment. And it seems to have helped me so far to realize like what I'm reading is like, oh, I got mad because Joe did X, Y, and Z. And then I'm like, wait, why really did I get mad at that? Why was that something to me to get mad? And I'm typing this all out. And then later on, I'll either read it or I'll just, by the time I'm done typing it out, I realize like, oh, I'm being too much right now. I need to take a step back. That's how I cope.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. I like that. Anybody else?
I have a long list of coping skills. When I was younger, there was another actor, and I can't remember the name off the top of my head, that like really struggled with depression, and he was talking about like you have to check off all of your base boxes before you start like going into the really heavy stuff. And he was like talking about how, you got to make sure you get your sleep and your nutrition and like make sure you're taking care of like all the little things to give yourself a fighting chance if like medication isn't helping the way that you want it to, or things like that. So I feel like that's definitely why I'm so like into my workouts and eating a certain way and drinking lots of water, because I know the second I stop managing all of those, I can feel the decline start to happen. So that's like always my base thing, is I try to make sure like all the little stuff is taken care of. And then I have my millions of hobbies. I mean, my house is literally covered from head to toe in like paintings and random stuff
it.
just literally everywhere. Like I just do this hours and hours and hours and hours out of the day. It's everywhere. I have to keep myself busy because if I'm not busy, then it starts to go downhill. So yeah.
First of all, those paintings were fire. Do you have any more that you want to show us?
For
I
myself.
You showed us like your first one in your presentation, it seems like.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I showed one of the older ones. I do have, I mean, I have a ton. So it depends on what you guys are open to seeing because I usually try to
Oh,
do body positivity paintings and stuff like that. And I really love working with oil. So like this is kind of inappropriate, but it's a naked lady. So
wow,
Check
that's really
those.
good.
do things like that. I love skulls, so I'll do things like this that are kind of on like the weirder side. It's just kind of I like bright colors and doing all sorts of
Etsy to go with it.
yeah, I just kind of go with it. But I don't have an Etsy anymore because Etsy is so expensive. If that's did I hear you right on that one or did I?
Oh, I had no idea. That sucks.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
I was losing money from just having my site open. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna do that. So I just usually do commission pieces now.
That's good.
No, that's dope for real. I love stuff like that. That is dope.
Do you
Yeah.
have an Amazon, I mean, not Amazon, an Instagram account for your paintings?
Yeah, I do. And I can link it. It's literally just Nanea Doodles, and then I post art on there.
Yeah, send it in the group chat. I want to look at some of them. Oh, and I'll message you on there too.
Me
Okay.
too.
Awesome.
Holly, do you have any cope with depression? Anything?
You know, I think, and Nanea, you might be able to speak to this a little bit more just because you had touched on it, not to throw you under the bus that way, but my son was struggling with intrusive thoughts. And I know that, and I pay real close attention now and I'll ask the questions and how is that going? But there were a lot of just that mindfulness and him knowing that that thought was there and recognizing that it wasn't true and looking at alternatives and um, so I know there's the mindfulness is such a thing for the people that I know that have struggled and you know a lot of it comes and I think with a lot of mental health challenges anxiety is not the same as depression of course but that same thought process of do I know this to be true because I think just like they had said with depression with when he said it's the largest open sourced team that you can be part of and still feel like you're the only one on it. And it's um, trying to catch on to that reality that maybe what's being put into your head isn't the truth, that there's something negative and nasty that's making up lies that you have to remember are lies and not the truth.
Yeah.
You definitely feel that. Um, I guess I can give a little insight. I will say, as we were talking about it, mindfulness is definitely one. So, like paying attention to what you're doing and like knowing the cause of what is going on. Um, so mainly having self awareness of what is actually going on through your head, what is actually, why are you thinking these thoughts? Because like sometimes, especially me, as our thoughts can be sporadic, so they're like everywhere with especially going through depression because you start to feel like the world is against you. You start to feel like there's no hope. But it's being able to control the thoughts and control your thought process. Um, Me, personally, I like to play video games. I like to go for walks, listen to music while I'm walking and everything, or just going outside because like that sunlight feels amazing when you are going through some things. And just sometimes forcing myself to go to like my happy places. Like I like going to Books a Million. I like going to Game Exchange. So like when I don't feel like it, I'm like, all right, let me force myself to go. You feel me? And also like prayer for me is what works for me, because like having that connection with God is, it helps me get through, and the work that I put in behind that kind of helps me figure out what I need to do and how I need to interact with these thoughts in my mind and how I need to control these thoughts in my mind. So having something that I can pretty much rely on, and like I said, my circle, which I love and appreciate every one of them. My mom, dad, uh, friends, wife, my big headed wife. Um, I hope she can hear me.
She was about to say she gonna bust in that door, talk about who's big head.
That's what I'm hoping for. But anywho, let's move on. So supporting your loved ones. It's ironic that I was saying that. Supporting your loved ones with depression. So first of all, recognizing the signs of depression in other people is just like we talked about. They start to lose interest, and like these signs are not just blatantly, oh, that person starting to lose interest. Like it can be, that person can be the happiest person in the room, and they know how to hide their emotions well. So it's just paying attention to what they're doing, how they're talking, how they're communicating. If it's not what they're usually doing, and start asking questions little by little, like, hey, is everything okay? Is everything all right? And usually the default answer is what?
I'm fine.
Yep, I'm fine. Um, and that's the biggest lie we tell ourselves, because in those moments we are not fine. Um, Providing empathetic listening and support. So the one thing that I've learned growing up is when someone asks you for help, you don't have to always have the answer to the problem. And it's hard for me because us men, the first thing we try to do is when problem is explained to us, we try to solve problem. But sometimes that person just needs a listening ear. You know, though they may take advice, they just need to know that, hey, you're there, you're listening, and they're getting out of the system. I know for me personally, when I'm going through some things and I talk to my wife about it, a lot of times she doesn't have the problem. She doesn't have the answer to the problem, excuse me. But she does provide a way to be encouraging in that situation by simply saying, is there anything I can do for you? And I ain't gonna lie, every time she asks me, I almost cry, because of the fact, like, one, I don't know the answer to that question. It's the fact that you're even proving that you're there. Two, um, well, two is one. So yeah. Um, Encouraging professional help seeking. So encouraging your loved ones to go to a therapist and help them realize that no, you are not crazy for going to seek help. It is not taboo for you going to seek help and going to better yourself. It is not crazy to go and sit down on somebody's couch professionally and talk to them for however long their time limit allows and how much your insurance and pockets can afford. Um, Offering practical assistance with daily tasks. So one of the things that I appreciate about the people around me is some a good majority of the time they made my life easier. So yeah, your circle again is one of those things that's gonna be important, because like they help you make life a bit easy for you. And those thoughts have a tendency to disappear during those times, especially when you're around certain people. And finally, taking care of your own mental health and boundaries, setting boundaries with certain things. Learning to love yourself for who you are, accepting what can't be changed and doing your best to change what you can. We can't love anybody else if we can't love ourselves. It's hard to do. As a matter of fact, it's dang near impossible to do. So make sure you are taking care of yourself. Make sure you are taking care of your own business. Don't go and try to clean up somebody else's house if your house ain't clean. Metaphorically. Take care of your business first and make sure you are straight. And it's okay to be a little selfish with yourself every now and then. It's okay to tell people no, hey, I'm not in the mood to do certain et cetera for you, because you don't have to explain yourself. Just do what you got to do, and explain that you are not in the headspace right now, and set that boundary. And usually people who are caring about you, they understand where you're coming from. So just love yourself, love everything about you, even if you're not at the level that you want to be at. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. So please love the people around you. Before you go to bed at night, tell somebody that you love them. And most importantly, love yourself. Do something nice for yourself every now and then. Do something self-caring besides sitting in the car. And then take care of your mental, man. Go walk your dogs. Go walk your fiancés or husbands. Yeah.
Yeah, they need to be walked.
Exactly. Eat good food, live well, play well, laugh well, man, and just enjoy this journey that we're embarking on. Oh, I thought I was done. Anywho, suicide prevention. Boy, I came up with this elaborate speech.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you're gonna have to follow that up.
Right.
I was cooking, man. I was cooking.
For sure.
Suicide prevention. Understanding the link between depression and suicide. So, like, I will say that fine line between there is the feeling of worthlessness.
Mhm.
I'm gonna tell you, just like I told Nania earlier, this goes for everybody, including me. You are special. You are loved. The world is a better place with you in it. You are one of the pieces of the puzzle that goes great together with everything else. You help complete the puzzle. Recognize the warning signs of suicide. If not too much to ask, what are some of the warning signs of suicide?
I think a sign of someone who's trying to commit suicide would be giving away all their things, but that may not always be the case. It may be an impulse kind of thing where they're, something happened, they're fed up and they're done, and then like that's it, there are no warning signs. I think another couple warning signs, I'll add another one, is maybe for kids, if there is bullying involved and it's progressed and no one's hearing them out, and the teachers, parents, or whatever the case may be. I think being a victim of bullying is something that can lead to suicide too.
All right, great response, Grace. Anybody else?
I think the one that people don't realize and oftentimes gloss over is people will straight up tell you. And I think a lot of times people are like, oh, you're fine. Like when someone tells you that they don't want to be here, you need to address it. And I think that I know from experience with multiple people that there a lot of times are very clear cry for help. And
Mhm.
and a lot of times people gloss over. I had a friend when I was in high school, and he said, if I haven't reached my goals by the time I'm 25, I'm going to kill myself. And his father said, well, make sure you do it right.
Oh my God.
And he did, but
No way.
yeah, but he had made it clear. And I've had other people in life that it's not unusual. People will say, I don't think people want me here. I don't think people need me here. I don't think I need to be here. People will tell you, and you have to take it seriously. And a lot of times we're like, no, you're fine. Like, no, they're not fine. And people need to recognize that sometimes the signs are that simple and that straightforward. Like, if someone says they're not feeling fine, they're not.
Mhm.
No, that's real. A lot of times, especially in the Black community, we have a tendency to not take it serious because somebody, especially children, will tell you depressed, but because you're at a certain age, they will act like you don't know what depressed means. I ain't gonna lie, I've seen an insult with somebody who was telling their mom and dad they were depressed, and the parents said, "Depress them dishes,"
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I was like, "Dang." Then little Johnny ends up not being here anymore. Now you crying in the front of a church on the morning bench, looking crazy when he gave you the sign.
Mhm.
So yeah, make sure you are paying attention. And if I know this is one that I can throw out there, if somebody tells you they're tired in a certain tone of voice, the first question you need to be asking is, what do you mean by that?
Mhm.
And they probably won't tell you at first, but like kind of egg it a little bit, and you'll figure out what they mean because the context clues will be there. All right, moving forward just a little bit. Steps to take if someone is in crisis. There are numbers to a suicide hotline. There are emergency services people can call. Um, Also make sure that you pay close attention to your friends and family who are, dwelling within those actions and everything, and just be their support system during that time. Um, the importance of removing access to means of suicide. So anything that could potentially be dangerous, that could help somebody, you know, kaput their own life. Take it out the way, move it out the way, like any cords, knives, any electronics with around water, guns, bullets, ropes. The list goes on. Make sure it's out the way. As a matter of fact, one of the best things you probably can do is let that person stay with you so you can keep an eye on them. And finally, resources. Make sure you have the proper resources for suicide prevention and be supportive. So kind of like what I was saying earlier.
I think one of the things too on suicide that just because I have too much knowledge on that, I guess, is the fear of talking about it. And I think
Mm,
probably have all come to that, but that talking about suicide doesn't mean people are going to commit suicide. Talking about it is proven to prevent it.
yeah.
So
So let me ask you something. Since you had brought that up, which is actually a great thought process, where do you think that fear of talking about it comes from?
I think people do think that if you talk about it, you're going to give them, it's just like you're giving them access by saying, having a like, well, yeah, you don't want to talk about it and say, hey, you could do it this way. That's no good. But
Right.
saying your feelings are valid and you are important, and let's talk about the things we need to do to not have this happen because you are important and we don't want you in this position. I mean, I don't want anyone to be unhappy. Granted, we're going to go through phases and this and that, but I don't want anyone to be in a dark place. I would much rather speak with someone about it than not be able to speak to someone about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
I think so much of it is a fear that you're going to cause suicide by having the discussion. Like, it's statistically proven that it doesn't cause it.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That is so true. Does anybody else have any thoughts on the matter?
Um, to piggyback off of what Ollie said, it's kind of like the sex talk, when should you have that conversation with your kids? Is it when you already know that they're actively sexually active? Is it when you know they're already having suicidal thoughts and ideation? Or is it something that you should just put in front of them already to let them know, like, you may find a time in your life where these thoughts happen, and I want you to feel, it's a safe space for you to come to me and, find ways where you make it okay. So, like an example, my parents, we grew up religious. Both my parents were youth pastors, and we did gospel singing and all of that stuff. But the sex talk was quite often. It wasn't like we sat down and had family meetings about sex and all about sex, but it was like, hey, if you do plan on, having sex outside of marriage, just know, it's okay, not to go off track or anything like that. But it made me feel like it wasn't a bad thing or anything like that. And suicide wasn't really talked in my family, but as I do talk with it a lot with my fiance, it is more like, oh, okay, it makes me have a safe space where I can go to him and talk to him and, open up a little bit more and be vulnerable on a different level than normal.
And I'd add to that, and I think it goes with your friends or your family or anybody else, just reiterating, like, I am by no means a perfect parent. I can screw things up left and right. So I will regularly tell my children or my friends or anybody else, I'm here for you. And if you don't want to talk to me, talk to someone else. I don't care who you talk to, but
Mm.
I want you to know that you're important and talk to me. And I'm not going to judge you, even if I've screwed up in the past. I want to be there for you because there's nothing more important to me than human life. But if it's not me, and my friends know the same, where it's like, if my kid goes to you and says, this is something that I'd like to have a private conversation with you. I'm like, if it's not a danger to them, have a private conversation. I would much rather my kids have resources or my friends have resources. They don't have to be me, whether it's my mother or my daughter or my sister. I want you to talk to whoever you need to talk to, whether it's me or someone else,
Mhm.
for whatever the mental health issue is or not, whether it's sex or it's drugs or it's suicide. I want you to know that there's people, because I think too, Chris, you brought up having a circle, and sometimes people don't have a circle. So
Mm.
Oh yeah,
talk to
that
whoever you
is true.
can. Huh?
Oh, I was saying that is true. Some people, and I have met these type of people before. Some people don't have a circle. So like I think one of the most important things you can actually do for them is just be there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just just be there and let them know that hey, whatever you're going through, you're not alone. If you need me, I'm here. If you want to talk about it, we can do it whenever you're comfortable to talk about it. I'm not gonna force you to. If you don't want me to say anything, you don't want me to respond, I'm gonna still be there. I'll be sitting there listening. I just want to be there for you. And so, um, the main thing that we had to understand is, as I said earlier, it is okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. It is okay to admit that you're weak, but it's not okay to stay in that weakness. It's okay to talk to somebody. Um, don't be afraid of looking crazy to that person. Don't be afraid of speaking your mind on the issue and wondering what that person's reaction is going to be, because it doesn't matter in that moment. Um, what matters is that you're still here with us. that you're 6 feet above the ground and not 6 feet below it.
Mhm.
Just know that, and this goes to everybody who is in this group. This goes to whoever watches this. So, Professor Wallace, this is also for you. You are loved. Even if it don't seem like it, man, I will tell you, I love you. I need you here. I need you to survive because you play an important role. It's not just because of what you do, it's because of who you are. And who you are can actually save somebody else in the long run. You feel me? Um, just know it's important to have those conversations. It's important to have uncomfortable conversations, and it's okay. It's okay to, if you gotta cry it out, cry it out. You know, you gotta go punch something about it. Make sure you hit it as hard as you can. You need to go for a drive. Make sure you drive the speed limit and you're not by yourself. Um, but enjoy life, man, because it's short. One day you're here, next day you're gone. And it's a lot of people, especially in our generation, who's like slowly just diminishing off because they feel like they have no self-worth. Everybody has worth. We don't know who could be the next president. We don't know who could be the greatest teacher of all time, greatest wrestler, any occupation.
Mhm.
But you have to be able to learn that you have value within yourself and to know that you are important, that you play a role in somebody else's life and you could be potentially saving somebody else's life, and that you mean so much to somebody. And again, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Love the people around you. Love yourself, most importantly. Eat well, play well, work smart, rest well, and be yourself. Everybody nowadays calls, a lot of things corny, but like it's cool to enjoy those things that people call corny. Don't feel bad about it. You feel me? I have 7 or 8 game systems in my room, and like everybody gets a nostalgic feeling when they come in and they can actually sit down and like we can be on the game and talk about it, and we just sit back and talk about life. But it's the fact that they're here smiling in my face and in their presence, they actually have joy. Find something that brings you joy within the inside, because joy cannot be taken away. Happiness is a feeling that can change, but joy can't be taken. I love y'all. Be great. Do great. We are out.
Boom. Oh, wow. I didn't know I did that.
That was cool. Do it again. Do it again. Does that work?
Oh, look at that. It just like
How
you have
did you do that?
Mine doesn't do it. I'm on the computer.
That's
No.
just, you got something special.
leave it on there and see.
Am I just not forming my hands right?
I am in a MacBook. I don't know if that makes a difference.
Maybe it's a
Very
Mac.
cool.
That's so cool. Well, there's a
Bring out my
lab
Mac
for
next
y'all.
time.
Like reaction. There we go.
Yay, a permanent one.
Hey. All right. So let me